the one thing that I wanted to comment on next is completing next year's budget before year end. And also the 4-letter word, budgets. Most entrepreneurs, certainly I don't like that. I love projection, the projection of where we're going.
Call it whatever you want to. Call it a forecast, call it a budget. I sold a company to a multi-billion-dollar international company back in the 90s, and we didn't budget either. We forecasted, right? And so call it whatever you want to, but it's sitting down and being strategic and thinking about, what does my business look like next year? And so call it a projection, call it a forecast, but it's got to be realistic. If you have been growing like this, and then you're trying to sell your business and you give a projection that does this, come on, nobody believes a hockey stick, right? Why is it going to take off? And if it's going to take off next year, why don't you just keep it and then sell it after it does take off, right? Yep. I mean, those are the questions that I ask as a buyer, but it's really important to wrap your head around that whole process. When I say budget in advance, I don't care what you call it, budget, forecast, projection, whatever, but it's taking the time to be strategic and backing up and thinking about, how can I continue to grow this business? Strategically, what are the things that I want to do? How can I attract more customers? How can I keep this business on its track? Because then you can also decide what investments I need to make to get there. Do I need to buy new inventory? Do I need to bring on a new product line? Do I need to partner with somebody else? And you're being very intentional about thinking about, how do I get to where I want to be? That's what I mean when I'm saying budget in advance. It helps you understand really what investments you need to make in your business in order to get it to the level that you want it to be. And it's taken time to step back and thinking strategically about the business, as opposed to what most entrepreneurs do, and certainly solopreneurs. We're involved. We're making the sauce. We're stirring the sauce. We're making the dough. We're shipping products. We're doing whatever every day, and we don't take time to back up and think about our business and work on our business rather than in our business. So that's why I say do it in advance. Sit down and really map out what's going to happen next year and for the next 3 years, so that you know where to make those investments. So, okay, have I satisfied your need to stop calling this budget and call it something different?
Forecast. We love forecast, and here's why this is so important in the listing process. I'll give you a story. I had a client that came to us in January of 2020. They at that point in time had a little over $1 million in net earnings. And they projected, or they had a forecast through the end of the year of $3 million. And their conversation, as entrepreneurs and brokers, goes is, every entrepreneur wants to know, well, how can I get, a number that's based on $3 million? How do I get this hockey stick growth? Well, if you have a realistic projection or forecast, budget, whatever we call it, and we list the business, I'll list the business based on that forward, that future net earnings. And then I will communicate with buyers through the listing process that this is a sliding scale. This is a time-based transaction. The seller is at $1 million right now. They project with 98% confidence by the end of the year, confidence and realism being key, that at the end of the year, they'll be at $3 million. They won't take a 4X, 5X of $1 million right now. They won't, because it is going to take 3 months for this transaction to occur. And in 3 months, they'll be at 3.4 million, 3.5 million in net earnings. And 5X of that is a different number than 5X of $1 million. Well, what if it takes, maybe 4 months, for the transaction? Some of the timing of this is predicated on the buyer's ability to get the transaction financed, get through due diligence quickly. So the buyer is often in a bit of a driving seat with the closing of the deal, because they've got needs that they need to satisfy. So I do it this way because it gives the seller incentive to create a forecast and live up to it and keep hitting their numbers. It also sets the stage and the expectation for the transaction right up front that this is a growth-based company. And whoever's going to buy the business is going to be, they're buying the actual net earnings from whenever the transaction happens. And here's the roadmap for where this business is going. So it incentivizes the buyer to speed up their process and to get this deal done. It incentivizes the seller to continue keeping that gas on, keep driving those sales. It really is a win-win for everybody. And the key critical thing for all of it is the forecast. We have to have at least a good 6 or 12 month forecast that I can communicate with confidence to the buyer that this is where you're going to go. We can list you at a sale point based on the multiple of your future net earnings. You're going to close at an actual multiple of your actual net earnings at time of close, but this gives a roadmap of where you're going, and it sets the stage for a buyer to be interested from the get-go, as opposed to you do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, you made $1 million in the last 12 months. We're going to list you at 3, 4, 5, 6x, whatever it is, and then in 3 months or 4 months down the road, the deal blows up. And we've seen it time and time again, which is why we're using it's kind of like a modified discount cash flow model of listing process. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications about new videos and interviews. And introduce yourself in the comments. Are you a buyer or a seller?